let's bring in our friend Robert Spencer, who I think is under the weather tonight. So he's being very kind to even give us time tonight. Robert, we are getting word that we now have the first statewide elected Muslim in America, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. You want to respond to this? And Annie is saying probably 5 Islamists will be elected tonight in America.
Yeah, well, that's of course true. Engage, a Muslim Brotherhood organization, has been working for years to elect Muslims at every level of American government. Also, the Hamas-linked Council on American Islamic Relations has been working on this. And so it's no surprise, really, that they have achieved success because there's no pushback on the other side. Nobody's saying, hey, this is something we should be concerned about, except you, Brandon, and a few others. Most people don't think that it's any matter of concern that a Muslim would be elected to office in the United States any more than it would be if a Baptist or a Methodist were elected. It's just another religion flavor. But they don't realize that Islam is not just religious, it's political, supremacist, aggressive, violent, and oppressive. And it is consequently something that everybody should be concerned about. So the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, the Mayor of New York, they are just 2 of many more to come in the near future, and it's going to be trouble.
And what do you, well, you heard Michael Reagan bring up the Socialist Democrats of America. And of course, we know this red-green axis is working directly with CARE and Hamas and Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, they have to be pretty excited about how far they've come. And as Annie has written at her great website, liveuptofreedom.substack.com, here we are on the November 4th anniversary of the taking of the hostages at the embassy in Tehran. And yet they're winning elections.
Yes, sorry, I thought that you were going to Annie on that.
No, I'm going to you.
Let me add something. And here's the thing: the 2 major. So the first Muslim woman lieutenant governor who just was called, she's, from my research, she's Ahmadiyya Muslim, meaning she comes from a Shia sect. So does Mamdani. I know we normally concentrate on CARE and Saudi Arabia and Wahhabis and Sunnis, but Robert, seems like this 2025 election, out of 8 candidates, the major ones who are hitting bigger stages are Shia. Is why?
Well, this is not really as big a distinction right now in the United States as it would be if we were in Pakistan or Indonesia. The fact is that the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is Sunni, is the largest institutional donor to the Mamdani campaign.
But that's my point. The majority of Muslim Americans are Sunni. The rich organizations are Sunni. So suddenly they don't hate each other anymore? They're united now?
They hate each other, but they don't hate each other as much as they hate the infidels. And so they see this young, attractive, far-left candidate that they think can win, and obviously he has won, and they figure this is somebody to back because he's going to carry the Muslim Brotherhood agenda forward, even if he's Shia. And it's the same thing with the Ahmadis. That we have had several of them in American politics, and they are all just water carriers for the Muslim Brotherhood.
Explain, Annie, why you brought that up for again, keeping it elementary here. The Sunnis versus the Shia, the Shiites. Shiite being Iran, Sunnis being Saudi Arabia, correct?
No, Saudi Arabia are Wahhabis. Sunnis are Taliban, ISIS, Al Qaeda. Majority of Qatar. These are the Sunnis.
Okay, and the Shiites would be your Iranians.
Majority Iranians, part of Iraq, part of Pakistan, part of India are also Shia.
Why were you bringing that up? What does that mean to you, Annie?
Well, to me, it means when 10 years ago I started saying, stop worrying about Sunni versus Shia versus Wahhabis, Iran versus Qatar versus Saudi Arabia, people kept telling me they're killing each other in the Middle East. They're killing each other in the Middle East. And I kept saying, just like that, I love it. That's why I asked Robert. Robert says, yes, they do hate each other, but not as much as they hate the infidels. I kept telling people, stop believing this side, Turkey against Iran, behind doors, they're helping each other. inside Middle East, they will try to take power, but outside of their own lands and their own little region of Muslims, Arab versus Pakistani versus Indian versus Persian makes no difference outside. When they come to Western countries, they want to kill everybody, even if that means they will collaborate and cooperate with each other.
Well, look at Iran funding Hamas. And Hamas is a Sunni group, but they both hate Israel. They both want to destroy Israel. So the Shiite Islamic Republic of Iran is happy to give money. They're the chief funder. 83% of Hamas funding comes from Iran. And they got no problem with that. It's an old Arabic saying that translates, my brother against my brother, but both of us against our cousin. So we, the infidels, are the cousin in that scenario. They're happy to band together to destroy us.
All right, so tell me what else you're watching tonight. I mean, are you watching what's going on in Minneapolis? What do you know? Tell our audience, for those who aren't following that, about the guy running the Islamist Marxist in Minneapolis.
Yeah, you got a carbon copy Mamdani in Minneapolis, Omar Fateh. He's a Somali, a Sunni Muslim from Somalia, who is also a Marxist, also tied into the leftist Islamic machine that's growing in the United States. He is also obviously from an immigrant background. So he's just the same template as Mamdani. And I show in my book about Mamdani, Intifada on the Hudson, that he, Omar Fateh, and others are part of this new strategy on the part of the Democrats to field candidates of this kind that are supposedly diverse. Of course, they're all communists. They all think the same way ultimately, but they look different. They're different colors. And that's the main thing that's important to the left. So Omar Fateh, I think, has a very good chance to be elected tonight in Minneapolis, a greater chance than a lot of people have given him. And he's going to wreck Minneapolis as much as Mamdani is going to wreck New York.
And his biggest endorsement, don't forget, the two most popular and loved people in Minnesota by Muslim population of Minnesota have endorsed him, which is Ilhan Omar and Keith Ellison. That's it. I mean, if Ilhan could win with that number of wins, just solo endorsement of Keith Ellison, I agree with Robert that Fateh is going. There's a very much higher chance than anybody else is giving him.
How long before we see Minnesota or Michigan elect a Muslim governor?
Oh, that could easily come next time.
2016.
Race. Whenever that
26.
Thing is, Brandon, we have to remember that when we're talking about Islam, we're talking about an extremely collectivist ideology and religion. It is not an individualistic thing at all. It's very collectivist. You only have any meaning in your life as part of the Ummah, the global Islamic community. And that being the case, it is extremely important to conform. And many people have noted that obedience to Islamic law in the Islamic world is as strict as the conformism is. That is, if the authorities aren't looking, then people do whatever they want. But if they're looking, then they stay in line. You know to conform to the group. Now, what does that have to do with American elections? Everything. Because every group in the United States splits. And, you talk about women or Hispanics or whatever group you want to name, and it'll say 60-40, 55-45, 70-30, whatever. But when you're talking about Muslim communities, it's going to be 100-0. Because you're talking about voting as a duty to the collective, and you vote as you are ordered to do so. This makes the Muslim bloc very attractive to politicians, but also very powerful. And this is why Omar Fateh is likely to win, a big reason why Mamdani has such a big lead and is going to win, and why there will.
In fact, we're hearing right now that Mamdani is projected to win New York City's mayoral election.
There you go. Goodbye, New York.
Well, 60.2% of votes are in, and he's leading with almost 9% ahead of Como. I mean, unless the remaining votes are all for him and no split for the Republican guy, it looks like Mamdani has this.
And if Republican candidate, what was his name? Curtis Silwell or Silwer?
Yes, Silwa.
If he had dropped out, look at that, put those back up. It would have almost been a dead heat, right?
Yep.
Well, I would say yes, but you don't know, because I know a lot of New York City people. I know people there who would vote for anyone but Coma. So 99% you're right, but there's a good chance that those votes would go to Mamdani as well, because they refuse to vote for Coma. That's the thing. I was thinking about Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. You see, part of the problem is the counter candidates are not good candidates either. The person running against Ghazala, the Lieutenant Governor, was trying to make history by being the first openly gay Republican. Really, that's the best we got in Virginia?
Oh, yeah, I got to go to Roger Stone here, but let me ask you in closing real quick, Robert. Where do you think this leaves us in a year from tonight, 2 years from tonight? Is this going to start gaining steam with more and more Islamists being elected? And again, our problem isn't with Muslims. Our problem is with Islam, which is Sharia, which is Islamic law, which is overthrowing our republic, just like the revolutionaries and the Marxist parties want to do. Where do you see a year from now, 2 years from now, with this being where we're at tonight with the victories by so many Islamists? It looks like 5 are going to win that Annie's tracking.
But you're going to see many more. Every election cycle now, you're going to see many more. Nihad Awad of the Hamas-linked Council on American Islamic Relations has said we're going to have 100 congressmen by 2050. And this is something that they are making a concerted effort to work toward. And here again, nobody's pushing back. Nobody is saying this is a danger that we have to try to resist. And so it's just going to keep on like a stone rolling downhill.
Do you expect a terrorist attack in America? Because it seems like to me this would be a really bad time to attack. They're winning. Why would they want to do a terrorist attack? Or are these free agents that are not under anybody's direct control, Robert?
Well, yes, they are free agents. And also, yes, they are winning. And so it would make sense not to do a terror attack, except that if you look at 9/11, everything they got as a result of 9/11. And it's been a massive victory for them. They were able to play the Islamophobia card and claim they were victimized and get all manner of special accommodation and influence and special privilege and power. And so another attack would just cement that.
Woo. So another attack would actually help them. And I remember we've had Usama and Sharam and others talking about the fact that Islam really grew after 9/11. So Robert Spencer, jihadwatch.org, jihadwatch.org. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.